So it all started around when I was 11 years old. My parents split up, got divorced. There's a big custody battle, and my mom won. She brought us back to our dad's house and said, "Take these boys, or I'm gonna drop them off children's aid." So yeah, like, what kind of mother does that, right? So about a year later, when I was 12 years old, my dad got a new girlfriend, and she had a daughter. And yeah, he pretty much had a new family. So us three boys were literally pushed aside and pretty much forgot about. So you want attention, whether it's good or bad, right? So we were hellions. We were doing all kinds of things. The babysitter quit every other day. So by the time I was 16 years old, I went to juvie, I was kicked out of the house, and I lived across the street at, let's say, a drug house sort of stay. And I'm the oldest grandson, so my grandparents, they offered to take me in. And of course, my dad told them if they took me in, he wouldn't talk to them again. So they said, we can't choose you over our son and so forth. But I always think back, like, what if you could choose your family, right? Like, what would it be like to have a loving family, a mother that wouldn't drop their kids off on a doorstep saying, like, or a father that wouldn't turn his back on his sons. Eventually, I came back home. And then by the time I was 17, I was kicked out again. So from 17 on, I've been on my own ever since I was 17. So you got to do what you got to do to survive, right? So I'm a hustler, right? So I started selling marijuana, things like that in high school. And by the time I'm 18 years old, I'm having a baby, so I need to make some money. So I started selling harder drugs. And by the time I'm 19 years old, I was living with my grandma. She lived in a apartment building that was like a slash, like, old age home sort of say. And she lived in the end, so I come up the side stairs thinking no one knew that I was there, but the whole time they knew I was there. So I ended up going away for the weekend. And when I came back, she was in her chair, and I grabbed her arm. I said, "Grandma, wake up, I'm home." Stone cold. So I knew she was deceased, right? So I panicked, right? I'm 19 years old, never seen a dead body before. So I called a taxi that didn't even get to the end of the street, turned around, picked me up. I go back out to my child's mom's house, and I call my aunt and explain to her what happened. She calls the police, and they want to talk to me. So I'm freaking out. I'm 18 years old, 19 years old, never seen a dead body before. Now the police want to talk to me, and I'm scared, right? Yeah, 2014, I went on a first trip ever to Mexico. Great trip, everything was fine, and I got back, and a good friend of mine, passed away. And after that, it just snowballed. A year later, my brother-in-law, he committed suicide. He had no oxygen to the brain. We had to pull the plug, and it was horrible. And 1 year to the day, we were having a celebration party for him. So I go to pick up his father to bring him to the celebration party. Hey, boss, there's no answer. He figured he's walking the dog. So I have a key to the apartment, so I go in, the dog's in there. So I'm like, what's going on here? And I find him deceased on the couch. And then it was 10 years ago on Thanksgiving, my middle brother, I'm the oldest, we're about 15 months apart. He had an overdose on Thanksgiving weekend. He had no oxygen brain for 25 minutes. He was on life support for about 2 weeks, and he ended up pulling through. And when he woke up, he was talking, everything's fine, and they moved him up to the stroke wing. And I'm not sure what happened, but I'm guessing it was some kind of stroke or something, because within 2 weeks, he didn't talk again. He walks a walker, he's severely disabled. He doesn't talk. And that's what I tell a lot of people when it comes to overdoses. People think, oh, I get Narcan or I die. And I said, oh, there's a third option. You come back and be not the same person. It's almost like having a stroke with paralysis, right? It's like, I look at him all the time and think, God just saved him just to punish him. Like, it's horrible, right? I'd probably get carried better if he just didn't make it, tell you the truth, right? Every time I look at him, it's just... And then my other brother, my younger brother, killed his girlfriend, killed himself. And that literally broke me. Like, we have rules on the street, we don't hurt women or kids. And when I was woke up in the morning, I was told what happened. I thought it was a bad dream. So I'm like, it can't be. So I go over there, and the police are saying this and that to me, and it is true. So yeah, so I punished myself for about 2 years. I started using and just... Yeah, I just, innocent mother is free, right? It's horrible, right? And one of my really good friends had a 6-month-old baby with this girl. So now I have to look my friend in the eye and explain to him why his child has to grow up with no mother because of my brother. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, right? It's just, I didn't know what to say to this guy, right? It's like, and so I started using, punishing myself. I started feeling regrets, right? And started having feelings for the first time in my life. I didn't consider myself a drug dealer. I considered myself a businessman. And now I'm living, between two worlds, navigating. It's like, I'm either a drug dealer or I'm a civilian, right? So I'm like, from 17 to 37, that's all I know. I don't know anything else, right? So I'm like, I want to go back to school and work with drug addicts. That's all I know. So I went back to school. I didn't want people to think that I'm just some ex-drug addict, ex-drug dealer. I'm so much more than that. I don't want to be labeled into a box, So I worked hard. I got an award of graduation, perfect attendance. I graduated 97% of my class, and I got my job 1 month before I was done with school. So it was funny, when I was a placement student, people would see me and think I was a volunteer. I said, no, I'm a placement student. And people were like, oh, are you stupid or what? You were the man. I tell people all the time, money doesn't make you happy. It can make you comfortable, but it doesn't make you happy. And I could fly around the world, go anywhere I wanted to at the time. But I was missing something inside, right? So, and then you'd have some folks come up to me and tell me how proud they are, right? They're like, oh my God, because this doesn't happen. People don't walk away from this life. I've seen people go to prison, get out, go again, do it again. Like, I walked away on my own terms, like literally walked away. Like, and it's funny because I never really had like normal straight folks, friends, it's like, someone always wanted something from me, right? I never met someone that didn't want something from me. And now being in this field, having friends and coworkers, I could call at 3 a.m. if I want to, and they pick up the phone and they want nothing but to see me do good, which is how it should be. Which my whole life, it's like, I never met someone that wasn't assaulted before. Like, the first time I met someone that wasn't punched in the face, I was like, what? You never been punched in the face before? But that was normal in that life, right? It's like, things we seen and things that happen, and it's like, but I feel so much better now. And now I'm actually helping people instead of hurting people. And now with the fentanyl, with the opioid pandemic, it's like we're seeing overdoses constantly. Like, we lost 2 people Friday, so it's, I've got tattoos of friends and family on me that I've lost, and I got my brother's ashes. These are my brother's ashes here. And I actually got them tattooed right on me. You can tattoo the ashes right on you, which is pretty cool, right? So, but yeah, so going from never having a job before, 38 years old, to having 3 jobs, to working so hard to prove that I'm not just some ex-drug dealer and drug addict. But my dad, he was an alcoholic. So I don't drink, but I've been an opiate user for 25 years probably. I tell people I'm an addict, they look at me and say, what, you use substances? And like, looks can be deceiving, right? Like, they really can, right? I'm the type of person, I would never ask anybody for help, which this is the second time actually in my life I did. So after my brother, I went to my family doctor and asked him to get on antidepressants. And he wouldn't give it to me. He's like, oh, you have money, you have this great life. I said, great life? What do you know, right? Meanwhile, this is someone that's been my grandpa's doctor, my dad's doctor, my doctor my whole life, my son's doctor. So he knows me, but he doesn't know, And so speaking of methadone, I was on methadone at the time. I went to the methadone doctor, which he's an actual doctor as well. I asked him for antidepressants, and he wouldn't give them to me. And so, I broke down, right? It's like, you're a real doctor. Like, I'm asking for help. Like, this isn't narcotics. Like, I can't believe you're not helping me. Like, and it's funny because in my past life, I would never consider taking anything like that. We call them drugs for bugs, right? Like, I would never take something like that. And I finally, after the 3rd time, he did give them to me. I took them. And when I went to school as well, I took Vyvanse, and it really helped me focus. But yeah, with the whole methadone thing, it's funny because if you see someone on methadone, they assume people are drug addicts, right? But you could be on it for pain management. Like, there's so many other things. And I blame the government for the opioid pandemic. They mass prescribed Oxycontins, saying they weren't highly addictive, which they were, which I know firsthand. I was taking 15 to 18 of them a day. And it's funny, I never considered myself an addict because I always had money, right? I wasn't, took me a long time to admit I was an addict, actually. It's funny because I never considered myself one. But I got sick of being sick, so I signed off of methadone. And then every time you go to the hospital, you tell them what kind of medications you're on, you're on methadone, and right there, boom, stigmatized, right? Assume you're medication seeking, right? So yeah, so now I'm talking to this counselor guy, and it's going great. He's an awesome guy, and it feels comfortable. It's like I never consider myself doing something like that, but that's the issue. Is it's all everybody uses because of trauma. You have to get the root cause. You can't just keep using and suppressing because it's not going away, right? You got to talk about those issues, and don't let anybody tell you what you can and can't do. Just because someone uses substances doesn't mean they're a bad person, right? It doesn't. Just means they went through some trauma.